Many of us know actress Christy Scott Cashman from the movies American Hustle, Pink Panther 2, and Edge of Darkness. She's also a producer and screenwriter. She and actor Jane Seymour are working on a film adaptation of Cashman's best-selling novel, The Truth About Horses. Christy joins us with how the book can be a good summer read before kids head back to school. Good morning, Christy.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, just like our last guest, you are a busy person. You're a wife, mother of two boys. You got 3 dogs, 4 horses. You live in Boston, and part of the time you live in Ireland, but not just living in Ireland. You live in a castle.
Well, that's correct. Yeah, it's actually a hotel, but we converted it is an original castle from 1180. So we renovated it into a hotel. The owners before us had sort of started it, but ended up not finishing it or completing the job. And then we came in at around 2012, 2013 and renovated, had a soft opening in 2018.
Yeah, that is so cool. I spent time, I actually stayed at a castle in Ireland, and it's just something magical about it when you're not from there, right?
Absolutely. It's very magical. Ireland, the whole country to me feels magical.
Yeah, yeah. Your production company actually is even looking at possibly doing a show based on Cookia Castle.
At one time we were sort of the behind the scenes, but we that was something that we let go of a while ago, and we might revisit it at some point.
Yeah, because that's the closest we're going to get to a castle. So thank you for that. You are used to wide open green spaces because as a child you grew up on a farm in North Carolina, the ninth of 10 kids. What was that like being 9 out of 10?
Well, I don't know any different, but that's my sister Ellen with me with her daughter Gabrielle, who are both coming to see me on Martha's Vineyard, actually. So that's funny. You should show that picture. And that's my horse Rambler that my parents let me have when I was 9. He was born, and that was my life-changing thing. Probably the thing that made me write my book. But having that many siblings, like I said, it's sort of like you had to, in some ways, like fight for your real estate. What were your interests? What were your passions? I had a sister who was a fabulous pianist, a sister who was a ballerina, a sister who was a phenomenal artist. And so I think I was like, okay, well, I'm the horse girl in the family.
Yeah, while the rest of us were getting like a My Little Pony, you were getting like a real little pony. But you also wrote pony stories, and so you started that skill of writing early on. We talk about the emphasis of reading, but writing can be so important too for kids.
For sure, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, writing. I think, it's so interesting what happens to the brain between thinking a thought and then writing it on a piece of paper. It's sort of a filter in a way, and it helps process our thoughts. I believe. I think everyone should write, no matter who you are. I think whether you want to write a novel or not, we should start our mornings, everyone, by writing about 5 or 10 minutes a day, just about nothing, because it's all about processing what our existence is about, and writing helps us do that. And I mean, so do most of the arts, but I think everything starts with a story. Everything starts, whether you're going to do a painting or a sculpture, it starts with what's the story you're trying to tell. And that's a lot of times, either sketching something out on paper or writing it down.
You appeared in over 20 movies, and of course that all starts with scripts and writing, right? But you always wrote privately. You created a young character called Reese. But around age 40, when we start the middle age type thing, we start reassessing things in life. You say something clicked in you and you realized that writing was more than just a pastime. It was really your passion. It felt natural. It felt personal. You've written children's books, The Not So Average Monkey of Cookia Castle, Petrie's Next Things, with themes of kindness and all. But tell us about the premise behind The Truth About Horses.
Thank you. So I believe what happened was all of the symbolism and the stories that I collected growing up with horses, especially for the fact that my parents let me have a horse when I was 9 years old. He was a foal. To have that experience at 9, to have a baby horse to raise, is life-changing. There's no doubt about it. And then what that does is automatically then it opens up a world of all these characters. You meet all these different horse people who are teaching you along the way. Some of them are teachers, some of them are bad people. They just want your money, and they want to, I don't know, steer you in the wrong direction and make you dependent. I learned so much between the age of 9 and say 19 in the experience of raising my horse that it was almost like a mini university of life, because you're automatically in this world and you're automatically having to make decisions, which is the biggest part of growing up, right? Making decisions, and then sometimes making the wrong decisions and having to live with that wrong decision.
Yeah, and you explore so many different situations in this book with that one character. I mean, she loses her mother, and so many things start to unfold. It's about change, loss, family, tension, friendships.
Absolutely. And that's the world I chose because I could write about it well. And I could also write about loss. And I think that loss is universal, whether you've lost a pet or a parent. It really is a universal feeling. I mean, just moving out of your childhood home can be a loss. And so those were the themes that I chose because I knew them and I could write them well. And certainly I knew I could write the world of horses well. And I like choosing small universes that I can describe well because I think that makes a reader feel secure in the hand of the writer. And I really feel like I do that well. And I really am excited about my next book, Beulah, which is set in the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee in the 1980s, because I grew up right across the border in a small town called Brevard. And Beulah is a fictitious town. A girl grows up in the Smoky Mountains. She's sort of pushed to the outskirts of town because of the gentrification happening. And all of a sudden, she's a local yokel. She's not necessarily she sort of lost her sense of belonging in her own town. And then a girl goes missing from the town, and in her search of finding the girl, she uncovers a deep family secret. So that'll be coming out sometime this year.
Yeah. All right. On horses, I just want to say, what is it about horses that's a different connection? We know that people will use horses in therapy, for example, but you have dogs. A lot of us have dogs and cats. What is different about horses?
I think a lot of people sense that there is some sort of a spirituality around being around horses, that they are sensitive to things about us that we aren't even aware of, and I know that people talk about fear a lot, but you'd be interested to see, I think sometimes that somebody who has no experience with horses whatsoever will go and do, say, a therapeutic session with a horse, and they're full of fear. The horse doesn't necessarily respond to that. I think what they respond to is a hurt inside. I think that they see things and sense things that other animals don't, and because they're so big, they can be intimidating, but then they have a softness about them that is very comforting. I think especially if you've dealt with trauma. And I think that's why these equine facilities that offer therapy are really amazing places to visit.
All right. There's a movie adaptation that's in the works, so we can't wait to see that come to the silver screen. And I'm going to end with the fact that thank you for your philanthropy, because you kind of bring it full circle, working with organizations that are working to close the literacy gap in kids in under-resourced communities. Thank you for joining us today. And
thank you.
I might show up with my suitcase and be at that castle at some point.
Oh my gosh, please do. And I'm actually in the middle of my You Think workshop here in Boston right now. We have 11 kids over from Ireland, and we've collaborated with Epiphany School in Dorchester, and we're doing a workshop and making a film with their iPhones. So it's really exciting.
All right. Top of the morning to you, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me. Have a great day.
You too. You can get your copy of The Truth About Horses and any of Christy's children's books on Amazon or wherever books are sold.